Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have a little different video. I'm going to start a little series on frequently asked questions. I often get questions that are repetitive in the comments week to week on videos. So we're just going to hit on a few of those questions throughout this series of videos. And as you can see behind me, I have a Magnum head off a 360. And the question I have is, Alex, aren't you worried about those heads cracking? And my answer is no. And I'm going to keep this very simple, and I'm not calling this the holy grail, but I've had 7 Magnum engines, 318s and 360s, 0 cracked heads. So I'm pretty meticulous. I used to be a mechanic, and the number one key for me is heat. I do not like an engine to get hot. Same with transmissions. So heat is the number one problem with failure on engines. So I always make sure, like if Big Red got to 200 degrees, 200 degrees isn't bad, but I'm pulling it over. I don't like it. That truck, it doesn't have a Magnum, it's got a 4.7, and the fan doesn't cut on until 210. But what I do is when it hits close to 200, I turn the AC on so it doesn't hit 210. I just don't like heat. I think that's one of the main problems we have with these things. So what the problem is they crack between the valves here. And I believe one of the main issues is people get them hot. But yeah, it's just engines don't like heat, transmissions don't like heat. And you know, to me that's probably the key on these. Now, to add to that, say you didn't have an overheating problem, but maybe these keg intake manifolds on the stock Magnums, the intake belly pan has a gasket on it, and that gasket gets sucked in just over time. And you can open your throttle body, look down in there, and if you've got oil in that intake manifold, then you know you've got an intake manifold leak, the gasket on the bottom. So when that happens, that creates a vacuum leak. On top of that, you're sucking oil in. Once that oil gets in there, it's getting burned, and then it's going to go through your exhaust. What's that going to do? It's going to hit the O2 sensor. It's going to tear up the catalytic converters. A lot of times these old Dodge, you'll hear the catalytic converter rattling. That's because that oil has gotten in there, gone through the engine and out through the exhaust and burned up the catalytic converter. So with that being said, that affects the O2 sensors. So if you get an O2 sensor bad, now you're going into a lean condition, and maybe you only have 1 or 2 cylinders that's going lean, but that's still going to cause extra heat in that cylinder. So maybe not the O2 sensor for that type situation per cylinder. That would probably be a more full engine type deal. But say you got a bad spark plug or a dirty fuel injector, then you're probably going to be looking at more of just 1 cylinder going bad and 1 cylinder cracking the head. So what I do, and like I said, this has helped me. I've had 7 Magnum motors over the years. Some of them have had 260,000 miles, no cracked heads. So I keep my oil changed. I keep my coolant temp regulated. Like in these things, the Valiant and Big Red, you know, this one I think has a 180 thermostat, which is going to be changed to a new one, but still probably 180. Big Red's got a 160 because I had a little heating issue back in the day because the radiator's not big enough. But yeah, keep the coolant tip down. Maybe put a lower thermostat if you've got just a regular daily truck. Maybe put a 180, or just keep an eye on your clutch fan. Make sure your clutch fan doesn't go bad. I put fuel injection cleaner. I use the Seafoam. I like the Seafoam. The Chevron Techron is also another good one that I've experienced. And run that every oil change, every other oil change. Keep the injectors clean. And then just regular maintenance, PCV valve. Make sure that belly pan and that keg intake is not torn. But you know, especially with Big Red, it's carbureted, so I don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. like a lean condition, that carburetor isn't going to run lean. I've got it running at like 12.7, 13 to 1. So that's plenty rich. It's not going to hurt anything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many miles is on this one, but as you can see, these things aren't cracked. And this looks like a pretty worn cylinder head. And this is I think this came out of a 96 truck. This is a 360. This is going to be one that's going to be used later on. But I mean, it's dirty, it needs to be cleaned. But I mean, it looks kind of rough. The wiring harness I took off the intake, it looked pretty rough, but heads are fine. So I don't know what's causing the cracks, but this is my 2 cents, and I hope it helps you guys out. Maybe add some comments down below. Let me know what you guys are experiencing. If y'all had cracked heads, what led up to that crack? And because I'm just not seeing much information out there. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I've got a couple more to follow with some other questions. But yeah, I don't have any worries about the heads cracking on this thing or Big Red. So anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you later.